Hey Kyle, great to see you. Thanks for joining me today to talk about what Pubmatic's up to in the space of responsible investment. I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Group M for hosting. I think such an important session. I mean, I definitely want to commend you and the organization on the initiative. While not an excuse, the fragmentation in the space I think can sometimes make it challenging for companies like ours that sit within the supply chain to drive the change, certainly at the scale that we would like to. So, leaders stepping up on the buy side, committing business towards innovation around responsibility, it just matters so much. It gives us the coordination I think required to really move the needle. So thank you, and thanks for having me.
Let's dive into it. I mean, we're already doing as two independent companies quite a bit together, and I know that you're supporting a number of the initiatives that Group M is rolling out. But there are really five key pillars and five areas that we're focused on. Ranging from really supporting local journalism to data ethics, brand safety, and other things. I'm curious to hear kind of what you think or what Pubmatic is most positioned for to help with in the industry. What are some of the initiatives that you have in play that are really focused on helping clean up the industry, if you will?
Yeah, great question. And again, I think the pillars are a great roadmap for all of us and kind of how to think about building a better future here. So maybe we go through a couple of these one by one. So I think data ethics is an interesting one. Group M obviously has made a huge step forward in this front over the past year. Historically, SSPs haven't been sort of deeply involved in data activation. That's largely fell to the DMPs and the DSPs. But I think as a result, both of changes in the identity landscape, as well as buyers wanting more clarity around how they're accessing data, we're seeing activation of data shift to the supply side as it's closer to the source in many cases. And this has been a lot of fun for us, coming at it a bit from a white space. I think we've had the luxury to be able to kind of rethink how it should operate with ethics as a cornerstone. And so our focus has really been on building tools that allow publishers and data owners to sort of directly connect their data to media and share that with the brands that they work with. So, no middlemen, no mixing data, clean data from the source. And we're seeing publishers, other types of data owners and buyers really lean into transacting in this sort of very direct way. And we're trying to take a similar approach to activating, addressable users or contextual signals or those other types of things. So, we're excited to kind of continue more directly connecting buyers with the source across all types of data. But I'd love your perspective. You look across a much broader subset of data. Does that feel like the right approach to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're hitting on the key kind of areas that the industry needs to be focused on. I think your point about single actor versus kind of total marketplace is another kind of critical thing that we need to think about. As part of our initiative, we've announced and released what we call our data compass, and that's really an initiative focused on helping our clients understand the different levels or potential threats that their approaches or strategies may expose them to as they apply data in different ways with different partners. And that's everything from privacy regulation compliance to unintended use and consequences of data targeting, to just the unforeseen regulations that continue to pop up internationally. I think the interesting question is, how do we bring the tools and services that the platforms or the supply side are building to address this problem, together with the things that folks on the demand side are doing, so that we have consistency and interoperability of the tools and the frameworks that we're all kind of judging data compliance against. I'm curious how you're thinking about that.
I mean, I think that's right, and I think we're everything's sort of being rearranged at the moment with identity. So I think our opportunity is now, and I think the first time we built this, to your point, I think the supply side and certainly agencies and brands, I think weren't both at the table at the same time. So yeah, I mean, we're excited about that, and kind of our North Star again is really trying to focus on what we're good at, which is, we're directly connected to certain types of data, especially publisher data, and just trying to get out of the way and make allow them and you and your clients to plug into that seamlessly, kind of without meddling as much as possible. So
That,
that's how we're thinking about it.
that's great. I mean, two of the other areas that we're really focused on are around DEI and journalism,
Yeah.
and that's really more about um, enabling access to supply that otherwise hasn't been easily um, leveraged by clients in the past. What is PubMatic doing to help carve out and create on-ramps for diverse content, for quality news content, to help those publishers and content creators get access to demand through your platform?
Yeah, great question. And if you don't mind, maybe I'll answer the question just a little bit more broadly, because it's something that I think is both important and that we're proud of. So you mentioned one sort of cornerstone of kind of our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. There are two others, and then I'll try to nail your question. So the first is also where we spend our money, and we've tried to follow your lead on this, right? So we use a lot of our partners in different parts of our business and ensuring material portions of our dollars are going to companies that have diverse leadership and strong foundations and principles around equity and inclusion is something we've committed to. So similar to your commitment, the commitment you and your clients are making around media dollars, we're trying to do similar types of efforts and different types of dollars that we spend as a company. So again, it harkens back to you all setting this roadmap that I just think is so valuable. So that's kind of pillar one. The second is just our own organization. So PubMatic, and this is a piece I'm quite proud of. We publicly shared our annual report on our kind of our own staff, our strengths, our areas of improvement for many years now. And we've just found that the accountability of being public and honest with kind of where you stand is important, and we want to contribute to that conversation across the industry. So something we didn't urge kind of more companies to do, and urge everyone to take a look at kind of our data. I think you'll find it shows good progress, but always certainly work to be done, and lots of conversations within PubMatic for how to continue that progress. And then the third pillar is exactly what you kind of asked about, which is leaning in with buyers who care about this and helping them kind of get more connected with diverse publishers. There are a lot of technical systems, unfortunately, within programmatic that can disadvantage and tilt spend away from smaller, more diverse publishers, and we need to correct that. So it's at the fraud vendor layer, or it's at the traffic shaping layer within the SSPs. There's all of these systems that have been built over 10 years that generally focus on ensuring kind of the biggest, largest, most well-known inventory sources continue to get the bulk of monetization. And so there's a very real tactical, technical challenge here that we've been trying to work to unpack and make sure those systems aren't biasing a large publisher simply because they're large. And so I think we're spending a lot of time there. And then I think the other thing that I've been putting a lot of thought into, and I don't have the answer, so would love your thoughts here, is just how to make this sustainable. It's not rocket science to get a list of publishers, but how do we maintain that and ensure that it's honest and accurate over time? I haven't seen a lot of solutions on that front. So we're exploring both technical solutions and process solutions. But I think that's the piece right now that we're missing and kind of looking to try to get right.
No, I think the point about, doing it once is one thing, making sure that it's repetitive and that you can deliver it at scale over time is an increasing challenge that we all have, especially in a marketplace that's so dynamic. I thought you were going to go somewhere else with sustainable. Thought we were going to talk about the fourth pillar around kind of things you were doing to make sure that we were not impacting the environment in negative ways. But that obviously is another core part of GroupM's initiative. I have to believe that you've got some things in place that are trying to reduce carbon footprint, focusing on suppliers who are doing the same thing. That's part of our ethos with this 5-pillar strategy. Curious to hear if there's anything going on there.
Yeah, great question. And I probably don't have the sexiest answer in the world, but when you look at, or we looked at the major costs and energy outlays, certainly in our business, but I think across the industry, by far the largest is servers, right? Servers burn incredible amounts of energy, and the industry has not been efficient at all in this regard, in sort of my assessment. So, there's incredible fragmentation, much of which is redundant and not uniquely adding value. So we have a lot of servers doing the exact same things. And on top of that, I just don't think companies have focused on this. They haven't had tremendous incentive to do so. You can look at the P&Ls of many companies, and the server utilization line items, I think, are quite poor. So we've spent a lot of time both on running servers. So we run our own servers. I think the math on that is quite clear, just from an efficiency and effectiveness use standpoint. But we also put a lot of data science into being efficient with the traffic and making sure we're not just sending traffic across the internet to buyers if they're uninterested and hoping, maybe we can make a penny here or there. So I think our financials hopefully point to, how we're doing on that front. And we spent a lot of time, working with buyers to help kind of consolidate out that duplicative waste. GroupM has, been a leader on that front as well. But again, I'd love your thoughts on this. We started to see buyers care more and more about kind of these aspects of our business over the past year, and that's been really, really exciting. But is it something you all think about when optimizing your supply chain? Are there other aspects of sustainability that are more important in your opinion?
It's a great question. I would agree with you that this is probably something that the industry is just starting to focus on in terms of, one of the key areas that we need to, deliver against. And I don't think we've figured it all out yet. But to your point about the amount of energy that the digital ecosystem consumes or requires to function. I mean, if you look at, the arguments that are going on around crypto, the same questions probably come up with regards to digital ad traffic and the number of servers that we have running and the processing capabilities that are required to handle the data and the targeting and the measurement that we're doing. I think those are all things that we need to start thinking about. And maybe part of it is you don't need to be measuring and targeting and applying data everywhere. You need to pick your spots and be as efficient as possible in how you apply resources in the ecosystem. And I think we are very cognizant of that fact, and we're going to start evaluating partners and our supply chain and try to generate some good results.
I don't want to belabor the point here, but one of the reasons I think these types of initiatives, these pillars matter so much is one of the biggest advantages the walled gardens have, in my opinion, is that they are one company. So it's a little bit easier to make those overarching decisions if we apply data here and we don't duplicate bid requests and things all over the place. The fragmentation, the open internet has tremendous advantages, but that's one of the biggest challenges, is sort of like the collective action and coordination problem. And I think we can be a lot better at this, and it's challenging to drive it from anywhere but sort of, the brand kind of agency level. And so, I'm excited to see you guys continue to dig in on this. I think it'll make a big impact, not just on the space, but the future of the environment and our footprint.
So let's dive into the media subject. We've avoided fraud through this whole discussion. I think you raised the term once earlier on, but look, fraud and misuse and malfeasance is a critical issue in the digital ad economy. One of our critical focus areas for over a decade has been around viewability, brand safety. These are initiatives that GroupM has spent a tremendous amount of time both leading at an industry level and promulgating new standards around. How is PubMatic responsible for, or to what degree is an intermediary or a platform necessarily responsible for trying to help clean up the industry and make sure that bad actors are not part of the monetized media ecosystem?
Yeah, great question. And I mean, the short answer is, I think, extremely responsible, although I think it's certainly all of our responsibility. So when talking about, I think, fraud and quality, in my opinion, you have to start with how you think about the space broadly. So what I mean by that is when you ask an SSP often, like, what is your job in this space? The answer you usually will get is to help publishers monetize inventory, which I think, at least from a philosophical standpoint, may lead to a certain approach to fraud. The way we think about the space is as a supply chain for brands, meaning, all of us, SSPs, DSPs, publishers, data providers, fraud vendors, we're all a part of a brand supply chain. And I think under that view, we all collectively must deliver more effective outcomes for brands. Otherwise, they will use another supply chain, be it, linear or walled gardens or what have you. And so our North Star in sort of everything we do, including fraud, is focusing on driving ROI for brands. And that includes our own tech as well as kind of like who we partner with. And so that's the basis, I think, with which we approach fraud and quality. Now, when talking about CTV specifically, I think there's like a couple of unique call outs that I'll make around, our quality philosophy. And this gets back, I think, a little bit to responsibility. So first would be that quality begins with the supply partner. And what we mean when we say that is fraud activity is contingent on money changing hands. So it's critical to understand the business and the principles in any CTV transaction. And quality partners can help here, but this always, I think, needs to be supported with actual human review. You can get a pretty long way in CTV with common sense. Second pillar would just be that fraud detection from vendors is absolutely critical. They're doing a great job in getting better every single day, but we believe it's best used to highlight underlying issues. So pre-bid filtering and things like that can mitigate issues, but it's critical to investigate questionable inventory sources at kind of the publisher, the inventory source level, right? So who are the principals again? What is the company's history? What associations do they have? Historical problematic, entities or people they're linked to. So things like that, I think, is quite important. And then the third pillar is just transparency in the supply path is critical, right? Whether it's standards, sellers.json, supply chain object, as well as understanding business relationships. So that's kind of our philosophical approach, but we also know that brands need complete confidence. And so I think we all always have to augment that with kind of a fraud-free policy. Some vendors catch things that others don't. We want to make sure we're honoring whatever a brand uses for their source of truth.
I think the really interesting part about that comment is that we all have to recognize as we go forward that nothing's going to be perfect in our new world. We're never going to be able to have 100% absolute perfection, and that we can only do the best we can. And I think that's a great place to end the conversation. It's been terrific talking to you about this. Really appreciate the time, and looking forward to working with you to clean up and keep the industry moving in the right direction.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks for the time.
Take care.